Good evening, YouTube. It is 9 p.m. in the great state of Texas, and today we are doing a project that has been years in the making, literally. So this is the bench that is outside of my door here in West Texas. And if you know anything about West Texas, we have dust, dirt, wind, tornadoes, hail, drought. Sometimes it floods. The weather changes every 15 minutes, essentially. And this is what... If you buy a bench off of Amazon, I think we actually got this at IKEA. Doesn't matter. We're going to take that bench and we're going to take this treated lumber and we're going to try to restore, actually we're not going to restore, it's basically an entire makeover of this park bench that my wife has been asking me for the past year to fix. And I finally got around to it because I have just been lazy and procrastinating. So yes, this is treated lumber. And yes, I know now, according to the internet, you're not supposed to put it through your planer. However, I would like to quickly note that I am an amateur woodworker. Amateur means non-professional, which means you're going to make mistakes along the way, and sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Me trying to plane this is a great example of that very fact, because here I am just struggling with the planer, trying to get this, wood planed as best as possible, because I picked it up from Lowe's. And if you know anything about Lowe's, even when you go to the project lumber section, it's not the best stuff. And here I am just trying to get this pushed through, and I know something's wrong with my planer. I've taken it apart numerous times, but I don't know what's wrong with it. And guess what? I can't figure it out, but I'm going to keep using it until I guess it explodes or I have some kind of catastrophic accident like I did there practically. But we eventually figured it out, and I got everything planed, and this is all the wood chips. And yes, I know the wood is treated with chemicals and I'm not supposed to do it. Thank you, internet, for all of the positive feedback concerning just how stupid I am for doing this. But again, amateur woodworking, which means amateur, non-professional. I don't know what I'm doing. That's what makes this so much fun, because I'm literally doing this just for me. So thank you for all the constructive feedback on all those YouTube shorts I had. But here I am using the joiner, trying to get everything lined up. I initially bought 4 pieces of wood, but I only ended up needing 3. And here I am, because I'm an amateur, I have to mark which plank is going to go where. So that's what I'm doing there. And then we're just going to get everything set up in our grips, vices, whatever you want to call it, taking our wood glue and just getting everything glued up. Going to put that in there for about 2 days, and then we're going to take it out. And you guys have seen me do this numerous times. Just standard Gorilla wood glue works, nothing fancy here. I didn't put anything cool into it. It's just glue. So again, amateur woodworking. I just like to reiterate that, because that seems like everybody's got an idea of how things should be done. But I'm going to tell all you amateur woodworkers out there, if it works for you, keep doing it. Don't let the internet, tell you how to do something different. There's a difference between trying to be helpful and then just being an asshole and leaving crazy comments. But hey, it's the internet, and that's what people do, unfortunately. So here's another portion of me trying to plane this, even though we planed it already. Not everything is exact, because again, amateur woodworking. So we're just taking our electric planer and just planing the rest of it, just try to make it as smooth as possible. And yeah, that worked as well. And then just came back and did it again. Sorry for the shaky camera. That is basically just the West Texas wind knocking everything back and forth. That's just part of West Texas. That's why we're rebuilding this bench, is because the wind, the dust, the weather essentially is why. But here we are, just planing everything through, just making sure everything is nice and smooth so we can do my favorite part, which is the sanding, because man, everybody knows I love sanding. And again, it's a little uneven, so I had to take my rasp and try to just make everything as even as humanly possible here. And this took no time at all. And again, it is not precision. I could have just use my skill saw and just cut across it, but it really wasn't that off. So I decided that using the rasp worked just as well, and we didn't have to get too crazy with it. So then we start the sanding, and yes, I know it's treated lumber, and apparently you're not supposed to sand treated lumber. Guess what? I'm sanding treated lumber, and I'm not even wearing a mask. I know, stupid. I get it. It's dumb, but hey, believe me, the West Texas wind right now is keeping this all out of my face. Anyway, but sanded it all down, and just getting everything nice and smooth so that we can stain it. And we'll get to that part in a little bit later in the video. So here's the actual metal part of it. The bottom obviously this is turned over, and now we're just trying to get the actual remnants of that board off so that we can actually take it off, and we need to fix the actual frame itself. And the frame is still good. It's just got dust and dirt and cobwebs and all kinds of BS all over it. So I just took the hose and just gave it a rinse. I didn't even get real into the weeds with it. I just rinsed all that stuff off of it essentially and flipped it over. That's all I did. Nothing crazy, but I got most of the stuff off, and then decided that I'd try to fit it onto the frame itself. It was still a little bit too big. The dimensions were just a little too wide. So here I am taking the planer again and planing treated lumber. Oh my gosh, that's the worst thing you could ever do. But doing pass by pass, piece by piece, and then just trying to get it to size up appropriately with the actual frame of the workbench itself. And this is my favorite part here, which is the routing part, which I really like to do because this actually gives it a little bit of character in my opinion, and probably the only thing I really do good in woodworking. There I am making YouTube shorts, trying to do that. And thanks for everybody that's been watching the shorts, by the way. I'm going to start just doing a lot more of those because I feel like I get a lot more feedback. And yes, here's another catastrophic thing you're not supposed to do with treated lumber, and that's burn it. And the door's open, and you can, leave a crazy comment about fumes and all this other stuff. I'm like, my goodness, people, like, I get it. Just don't use me as an example of what to do. Learning the wrong thing is an important part of the process, and I'm a great example of doing it the wrong way. So thank you for the feedback, though. But once we burn the bottom of it, because nobody's going to see the bottom practically, now we're just going to use our pre-stain before we actually stain it. Just get this all over so that stain will absorb somewhat into the wood, and then just leave that out to dry. So once we did that, we start working on the frame while that's drying. And I didn't do anything fancy here. I could have spent hours polishing and gotten steel wool and gotten all the rust spots out, but man, paint over dirt. I know somebody in the comment left, that's not a saying. Let me tell you, it's a saying where I'm from. So, again, do what you got to do. If you're an amateur like myself, do the amateur thing. And this is an amateur move, but just painting over it. Yeah, that's one way to do it, but it works. Let me tell you. So just painting everything, just trying to get all those rust spots off. And yeah, whatever. It's gonna look like crap in a couple of months probably, but for right now, this is working for me. So I'm gonna keep on doing it. That's the fun thing about it. It's not that serious, bro. So calm down there, keyboard warriors. So once we finish that, now we're just gonna do the actual staining of it. And yes, I know you're not supposed to stain treated wood apparently either, but just using a light stain here, nothing too crazy or too dark. My previous project I did, that desk, was really dark walnut, which looked really good, but I thought for what this is going to be, I think this works just as well. And then just staining that all over, and then give that a couple of hours to dry. And then this is another taboo, putting polyacrylic on top of the board itself using a foam brush. The amount of people losing their minds about me using a foam brush to do this was actually unhinged. It works. I've been doing this my entire amateur woodworking career. So I think this works, and I'm going to keep on doing it. So whatever. But thank you again for leaving some feedback. But amateur woodworkers out there, if you want to use a foam brush to do it, you can absolutely do it. So this is probably the biggest part where I was like, you know what? This is actually something that I worked on during my previous project with the desk, which was trying to put in threaded inserts. And I learned my mistakes. I lined everything up. I drilled some pilot holes before I actually drilled the actual size of the hole that needs to be for the thread to go in. So here we are, just drilling through, looking really set up. It looks really good. And, I think this part went a lot better than the desk did for my previous project. But here I am, putting in those threaded inserts. This is probably the most professional thing I did in this entire project, but feel free to come in the comments and tell me again how I did it wrong. But man, this went really well, and I was really happy how this set up. It was actually all aligned the way it needed to. And there's 1, there's 2, and 3, and 4, and it looks really good. This is probably the best thing I did, and everything lined up really well. So I was very happy how that ended up ending. But just taking our screws and our wrench and then just threading everything in there, and it looks really cool. So, you know, that looks really cool in my opinion. I think I did pretty good, but feel free to leave a comment how I did this horribly wrong. But this is what the bench looks like when I was all done with it. It looks good, looks flat, and it looks a lot better than what was on it beforehand. Just some simple treated wood. That was the entire restoration, and I think it looks good. It might give me a couple of more years outside on my porch. So anyway, thank you for all the constructive feedback. But man, I'm an amateur, and again, it works. So keep doing what you're doing if you're an amateur woodworker, and just having fun with it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.